What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and am I glad that I recorded this late because we just hit 10K.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive into the news, of course, big shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a couple different services. One is to secure a Canadian or US dollar loan. Really simple. There's an application, takes a couple minutes to fill out. No credit check necessary. If you're successful, your bank account is usually funded within 24 hours. And the second service is they have a Bitcoin savings account where you can earn monthly interest on your Bitcoin. And it is at 5.1%. Compounded monthly, and they are both available for you now. If you do sign up for a loan and you end up securing it, well, then they'll give you an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin into your account if you use the link I've added below. And secondly, if you are utilizing Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general, then privacy is of paramount importance to you. Please do consider using a VPN, even if you don't specifically use this one. I use NordVPN. I got a 3-year plan here. It's super simple. Essentially, you choose your country of origin within your app here. In fact, you can see it up top here. I've got my VPN and I can just hit quick connect and it will auto connect to whatever VPN, whatever country I like. It's really cool. It's really simple to use. It encrypts your browsing history. It can obfuscate where you are from. It can help unblock geo-blocked content. And in general, if you're doing anything on the internet, it's good to have that privacy. And I mean, also, if you happen to dabble in torrenting, also probably a good idea for you. But anyways, yeah, if you click the link I've provided below, 75% off. It ends up amounting to about $3 a month, so not bad for some privacy. And with that, let's dive into the news. And you know I gotta talk about the price. It is climbing. We have surpassed 10,000 US dollars. Congratulations for waiting that out, everyone. It's been a hell of a year so far, and we will see what comes next. The past couple of days, we've seen tons of articles like this. We're inching closer to 10K, and when we hit 10K, there's going to be FOMO, and people are going to be jumping back in. It's going to be all over the news. Well, it literally just happened before I hit record. We're already up a couple $100 above 10K. Now, the question is this going to hold? How long are we going to be up here? Is it going to barrel through? Is four-figure Bitcoin a thing of the past, or will there be a pullback? Will we retrace back below 10K and revisit lower numbers before continuing on? And that is anybody's guess, but one thing we do know is that once we've decisively crossed 10K and we're up there, there's not a whole lot of resistance throughout 10,000, throughout the 11,000 range, up until mid-11s to 12 to 13. So in that range, we could see some very, very quick moves if we stay above 10K, which would be great to see. This year has surprised the hell out of me. I thought we were in for a lot of sideways action this year, and that we wouldn't see anything too exciting until maybe towards the end of the year. But you know, Bitcoin does what it's going to do, and it can be very, very unpredictable. So congratulations to those of you that have weathered what was a long and painful bear market through 2018. It was rough, especially for those of you that it was your first bear market. If you've been around a bit longer, then you're probably a little bit jaded and you just kind of wrote it out. That I did notice that this one was much more bearable than the last. So congrats to you all. And across the rest of everything, it's funny because you can see a lot of green when you're looking at US dollar prices, but when you dive over into versus Bitcoin, there are very few that are up versus Bitcoin. In fact, it's more or less a sea of red with a couple exceptions. Ethereum is up an extra 1.5% versus Bitcoin, and then BNB is more or less neck and neck as far as percentage gains. But everything else, it's more or less, if you're sitting in alts, you're not looking pretty right now. Who knows, though? We'll see. We'll see if alt season is still a thing. My guess would be that as things start raging again, people love to gamble, and you'll see bags aplenty pumping at some point or another. I don't think we're done with the irrational exuberance yet. So that's. I mean, I'm gonna leave price there. It speaks for itself. We're up over 10K. Celebrate, enjoy the day. Now, this is some interesting and I would say concerning news. So, concerning in the sense that, Bitcoin now has to figure out how to route around stuff like this. Because if anything, we've learned that Bitcoin is the honey badger. He don't give a fuck. And when governments try to regulate, regulators gonna regulate. Bitcoin finds a way. In the words of the infamous Ian Malcolm, life finds a way. And so we have here the Financial Action Task Force, and they have released a set of standards today, which include controversial requirements for virtual asset service providers. So anybody dealing with digital currency that is basically a business. And so one of the requirements would be that when transferring digital assets between firms, between exchanges, say, they would be required to transfer customer documentation between those entities. So what customer documentation would be required? Well, things like a name, a wallet or account number, a physical address, an ID number, birthday, place of birth, receiver name, receiver account, basically a whole shit ton of stuff. So not ideal. They've also said that this could also include just businesses that accept cryptocurrency in general, but it does not include individuals, people that are just going out and buying and selling things independently. But essentially, if you're using a business to buy and sell something, like if you're an individual and you go through a business, well, your information is then captured and shared amongst everybody anyways. So again, not ideal. So this would essentially force, or not force, but it guides countries to set legislation. Now, it's not binding. It does not mean that they have to, but if they do not, there are consequences. Essentially, they would get blacklisted, and it would very severely hurt their chances of international investment, more or less cut them off from legacy financial systems, which down the line won't really matter, but we're still very much living in the legacy financial system. So for the time being, people are gonna, countries are gonna want to comply with this. So essentially, the guidance is that organizations should probably register with their local government, and that the government should also use web scraping tools that would help find unregistered businesses in their jurisdictions and then clamp down on them. Oddly enough, I was shitting all over Chainalysis and other companies that are doing blockchain analytics, but oddly enough, Chainalysis was warning against this in hearings just recently. They were saying essentially that this would be not only ridiculously onerous on businesses, but it could hurt the safety and privacy of individual users, which, I mean, when a blockchain analytics company is your best, is the person in the room trying to speak sense, you're in trouble. Now, there's a quote here from the Treasury Secretary in the U.S., Steve Mnuchin, and he said, "We will not allow cryptocurrency to become the equivalent of secret numbered accounts, and we will allow for proper use, but we will not tolerate the continued use for illicit activities." Yeah, it's just more of the same. Again, kind of like latching on to the fear-mongering around, Bitcoin's only used for bad things and we need to stop the criminals, when realistically, most people using Bitcoin nowadays are just, they're just regular people. And so you're penalizing the regular people, and the people that are using it for illicit purposes are just not going to use the exchanges, and they're going to keep private themselves. So personally, I believe that people should be looking into things like CoinJoin. How do you use Wasabi Wallet? How do you use Samurai Wallet with its whirlpool function? And essentially, anytime you use any service that is a business, an online exchange, anything, run your coins through either Wasabi or through the Samurai Whirlpool, and just continuously try to break those links between you and your coins so that you can maintain your financial privacy. Because as soon as this data starts to get compiled and stored, keep in mind that sure, on its face, it seems to be, the reasoning behind it seems to be, oh, we just don't want people doing bad things. But as soon as that data is stored, bad people can access it and capitalize on it. There's been many instances of Bitcoiners being attacked in their homes and kidnapped and tortured in some cases to get basically $5 wrench attack an individual to give them their seed info and to sweep their funds. You want to avoid a situation like that at all costs. So please take the time to learn about privacy. I've been meaning to do a Wasabi video. I'm just so damn busy, but I really am going to put an effort into doing this once I get back from some travel that I'm going to be doing soon here. But regardless, all in all, I do believe that Bitcoin will come through this stronger because of it. And I think that in the long run, this was inevitable, and that the honey badger will prevail eventually. The other thing mentioned here, there was an update to this article, was that this guidance also directed countries to start cracking down on crypto mixers. However, they're going to have a tough time with that, because keep in mind, yes, centralized mixing services that are online that essentially accept user funds, mix them independently, and then send them out. Sure, you can go after them and shut them down and seize them, as we've seen in Europe just recently. But what about when the software is run independently and is open source and is just out there on the internet? As we've learned, it is incredibly difficult to deal with stuff like that. When Napster and other file sharing services like that got shut down, what did we end up with? Torrents. How do you shut down torrents? You don't. They're just there, and you have to deal with them, and it's just a fact of life. And they try to crack down on them here and there, but people find ways around. Well, when you go and you try and stop this stuff from happening, it's open source, it's on the internet. Even if they take down a GitHub, even if they take down a central authority that created one of these things, well, it will pop up again, even more decentralized and harder to crack down on. So you know, as the gift says, you have no power here. So I look forward to that. Let's move on here. So Craig Wright, we've talked about him plenty. The illegitimate faker pretending to be the creator of Bitcoin. Well, he is in a lawsuit where somebody's estate, somebody's family is suing him because they believe that he is essentially trying to steal some Bitcoin that himself and the plaintiff, Kleiman, mined together. And they are suing him for, what is the amount? It's like 1.1 million Bitcoin, something like this. Yeah. So essentially, if they're successful in suing him, well, it would be proof that Craig Wright is Satoshi. However, the funny thing is that the court is trying to get all of this information about where the Bitcoin is, where the Bitcoin went, where it's currently being held. And Craig Wright has said that it went into a blind trust, that him and a number of trustees essentially were putting Bitcoin away into something called the Tulip Trust between 2009 and 2011, and that he essentially has zero access to it. The only problem with that is that the court didn't buy it. They think it's bullshit, and they essentially said, you got to show up, you got to prove and show where the Bitcoin is now, and if you don't, you have to give a damn good reason why you can't, and if you can't do either of those things, you will be found in contempt of court. And this is kind of where we're at right now. He has essentially failed to do either of those things. He gave a load of excuses that just weren't good. The court had asked him, well, if you can't access the trust, then reach out to the trustees of the blind trust. And, Alistair Milne summed this up pretty good. So these are some of the trustees behind the Tulip Trust. Kleiman, who's dead. Coin Limited, which he states was a company that was dissolved, but nobody has really been able to find any record of it ever existing. Miss Nguyen, I'm not sure how to say that, but there's essentially this individual is missing, and he's apparently had no contact with her for 3 years. Wright himself, apparently, but how are you a beneficiary while you're also a trustee for a blind trust? That's kind of a contradiction there. Panopticrypt Party Limited, essentially Craig's wife, and then Savannah Limited, although there was only an email contact provided for that. Coin Limited, if it did exist, was controlled by Kleiman and Nguyen, one of which is dead and one of which is missing. Convenient. And essentially, he's trying to, use those claims to get around the court's demands. It will be very interesting to see this play out, but nice little summary by Alistair Milne here. Essentially, it just looks like a load of crap, and it's ridiculous. So, best of luck, Craig. We'll see what happens. And finally, I wanted to finish up with this. I'm super, super excited to finally drop this. I've been dropping the little teasers, but they don't really show the entirety of the video that we shot for Bull Bitcoin. So, I wrote a little blog on this. I'll include it down below, but it's essentially my reasoning behind creating this Cut the Bullshit and the Wrecked series that I've been putting out for Bull Bitcoin. And this is like a full 3-minute kind of almost like a World Vision ad for wrecked altcoiners. And so it's stupid, it's ridiculous. I hope it's funny. I hope that people look at it and reflect on how ridiculous 2017 and the fallout from 2017 was, how people just kind of disavowed the ideals that brought them to Bitcoin in the first place and just said, no, that's okay, in the name of profits, and were subsequently wrecked because of it. And I hope that people look at it, don't take it too harshly, and realize that, oh yeah, dumb mistakes, but I'm ready to come back to Bitcoin now. And so that was kind of the goal. I am headed to San Francisco on Monday, and I'm going to be there through a good portion of the week for the Bitcoin 2019 conference. And this is entered into a video competition there for their hackathon. This is part of the growth section of the hackathon. And I hope they like it there. But I'm going to drop it here. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here we go.
Did you know, in the past couple of years alone, tens of thousands of Canadians got fucking wrecked trading their Bitcoin for shitcoins?
Okay, so our BTC is actually the Bitcoin Cash Reddit, but at BTC is the Bitcoin Twitter, and at Bitcoin is the Bitcoin Cash Twitter. But then the Bitcoin website recommends I buy Bitcoin Cash, but also offers something called Bitcoin Core. Meanwhile, Bitcoin Cash says that it is Satoshi's vision, but the new Bitcoin is actually called Satoshi's Vision. What the fuck is going on?
This is me in 2017 when I piled all my Bitcoin into Ethereum. It's going to be the new decentralized world computer, you know. The flippening will happen. I mean, just think of all the decentralized apps you can do and stuff.
You have any good examples?
Yeah, I got some examples. I mean, like there's these kitties and you can like look at them and trade them and stuff.
Trying to teach people what a real cryptocurrency is all the time. Can't trust the public, like that stupid Bitcoin. Like, we've rebranded XRP for them. We've locked up, we only take $1 million every month. Like, that's may seem like a lot, but it's really not. XRP's our currency, and the corporation will take care of you. They're gonna do the right thing. This is the only thing that's good is XRP. We trust banks, we trust governments, we work with institutions, you know. We know that they've always had our best interests at heart. That's what you need when you're looking at currency. You gotta force people into using it. You can't just expect everybody to adopt it. Like, that's stupid. Who's ever just waited for adoption? No, you go in, you tell people that what they're gonna use, and you set up the...
But it doesn't have to be that way. Here at Bull Bitcoin, we are Bitcoin maximalists through and through. We're working hard to give shitcoiners another chance. We've built a platform putting the focus back where it should be, on Bitcoin. Not only do we provide an outlet for people to buy and spend Bitcoin, free from all the scammy altcoin noise, we are also a non-custodial service, meaning that your Bitcoin is sent directly to your own wallet upon purchase. We never hold your coins for you, so you are never exposed to the risk of leaving your funds with an online exchange. Here at Bull Bitcoin, we believe when you cut out the fluff and blockchain buzzwords, things just get easier. Bull Bitcoin. Cut the bullshit.
So if you did enjoy that, please do share it around, give it a like, share it on Twitter. I shared it on my personal Twitter, so hit me up there and yeah, let me know what you think. Leave some comments. I'm really curious to see what people think of the entire video. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, if you want to support the show, you can do a whole bunch of things. You can check out the links for Ledn and for NordVPN down below. You can hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit that like button, the bell notification icon, because I'm always in the chat when this airs for the first time, chatting people up. If you're not on my Telegram, and you want to shoot the shit and just have some fun with us, I'll link to that down below and in the chat as well. And if you really enjoyed what you saw, of course, you can leave me a Bitcoin tip via the Lightning Network at mytippin.me page. And with that, I am out, you guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Friday. Are we still above 10K? Can I check that now? Yeah, we're still okay. 10-1. Not bad. We're still up there. But anyways, thanks you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week, I think from San Francisco, for your daily session.